All right, all right. Welcome episode. Welcome. Well, let's do that again.
Blah, 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 blah. Take two.
Welcome episode.
Welcome, folks. My name is Serg, and this is my show. This is my friend
We's here
George.
again.
We's here. You know what? Fuck it. Leave that shit in here. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back, everyone. Episode 5, season 2 of Nerd Alert. Thanks for joining us. It's been a while. We're rusty, man. We've been rusty, I feel like every time we start, we're like, oh, we just came off a hiatus. This was like a long one.
This was a long one.
We are back and excited to talk about the topics we got in store for you today. Again, as always, I'm Serge. Joined by
George, Chico. You know what? Chico's better. You know, let's go with Chico. Chico's so good.
That's good. Or of course, your mom, if you're looking at the screen there.
Your mom, yeah. And thanks, everybody. Today we are going to be covering some things for you. Like I said, we're catching up. Serge mentioned we have Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
Oh yeah.
Moon Knight, which is going to be a great conversation as well.
Oh no!
Superman and Lois, and then you know what? We're going to touch on a couple of random things as well to wrap up things along with the news.
Looking forward to it, guys. Thanks for joining us, everyone. As always, follow us N3RD_A13RT on the gram. Follow our YouTube channel N3RD_A13RT. Don't just listen to us.
Subscribe,
subscribe, and look at our beautiful faces. See my cool shirt. Chico's
I got these
cool shirt. Yeah.
Completely unintended.
All right, we're talking about both Marvel and DC, so it fits today. And we've got a couple, like you said, of random topics that I'm excited to talk about too. But we took, it was supposed to be just 6 weeks, but and a couple extra weeks over, but we wanted to let Moon Knight finish because there wasn't too much going on in the whole nerd world that Chico and I were excited to talk about. So we're trying to bring content that, our excitement shows through, or lack thereof, or disappointment, or whatever the case is.
We're conversing. We want to make sure it's just conversation pieces, not just throwing shit at you guys.
Correct.
And that's what we're giving to you guys today.
So
and in every episode, honestly. No, we're starting with Doctor Strange. Let's start with Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Let's start with Doctor Strange. Let's start on a high note because I feel like Moon Knight's definitely going to derail. Doctor Strange came out. There's the big hype movie after Spider-Man: No Way Home, directed by Sam Raimi. Picking up directly after No Way Home and essentially WandaVision.
Yep. Wait, hold on, everyone. Spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
Spoilers. Don't forget.
If you haven't watched
spoiling the shit, we don't. Yeah. Everything we're talking about moving forward, motherfucking spoilers. Sorry.
Spoilers.
Go ahead.
So for me, I love the movie, but I did have my quips with it.
Sure.
This is the first one I think we've talked about is the first venture for Marvel to truly, as you would expect from Sam Raimi, really go dive into like a horror-ish vibe. And I loved it. So what's happening here is Doctor Strange is fixing the cracks in the multiverse that were honestly really started with Loki and Sylvie during the Loki TV show, amplified by Wanda through her TV show, and then I think really finalized with Spider-Man's spell. So they've got all these things going on. We're introduced to America Chavez, who can break through multiverses. We're reunited with the sadness that is Wanda, but the sadness is the madness in reverse. Some great moments with freaking Wong, but I think overall it's a great ride. I loved the jump scares that I really wasn't expecting.
For real.
Like there were some really creepy fucking moments. Definitely felt every inch of Sam Raimi through this movie, through his
100%
cliche zoom, the dum zoom, like every bit of it. But like I said, I give it probably a 7 out of 10.
I rank it a little higher. I would say I would give it 7. Oof, damn. I would probably give it like an 8.5 out of 10. And I only saw it once. Maybe that'll change on the second viewing.
I've only seen it once as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's another answer to my grade as well. Because, with Spider-Man No Way Home, I can wait to go fucking see it again. Even with Shang-Chi, I couldn't wait to go see it again. Eternals, it took me months, even on Disney Plus before I watched it again. And I have.
Yeah,
it's its own movie, and I can enjoy it more in a home.
Let's not talk about Eternals. But
anyway, But this one, it's just here's essentially the way I sum it up. It's a great ride.
Yes,
but it doesn't have any ramifications that I was expecting. This movie should have led into many different things, and that for me is the biggest letdown. We got some great Easter eggs, which I know we're going to talk about here. but that's all it is. There's nothing that really goes anywhere outside of Doctor Strange. Like the end of the movie leads you to him going to the dark dimension, and that's cool and all. But given what we were hyped up to believe and hyped up to what's happened before, I feel like Marvel dropped the ball here with what they're building up and not giving us a finalization on some leeways. Like I was expecting a door opening to the X universe, to the Fantastic Four universe, to blah 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 universe, and like we got that Easter egg, but it ends with the Easter egg. That's it. Like it's done.
So here's where I agree with you, but I don't agree with you. I agree with you in terms of one, I absolutely loved it. And if you watch the show, after I saw No Way Home, I had this reaction, like this visceral, like I had so much fucking fun at No Way Home, where I thought like my rating of that movie was skewed, where I'm like, when I see this movie again, it's not going to be as good. I saw No Way Home 4 times since then, and it's just as good every single fucking time.
Agreed.
This time, hold on, with Doctor Strange, I had that same feeling where I had a blast seeing it, but I do think I'm gonna be right. When I see it again, I'm gonna be like, okay, it's not as good as I thought it was. It was just a fun ride. But because of everything you just said, where it's like, where you were kind of expecting more for like the multiverse, especially like Multiverse of Madness. Like, sure, they went through a couple of phases of the multiverse. They tied in WandaVision, they tied in Loki, they tied in What If. But I feel like this movie wasn't for us, right? Which meaning story-wise, I think this movie was, we need to introduce just the movie fans, not the Disney Plus fans, or not the hardcore watching every Marvel shit that comes out, to the multiverse. I think this is for the people who just watch maybe the Marvel movies. They see them casually, or they like Doctor Strange 1, and they kind of need to know. Because if you don't have that background of the shows and know what the multiverse is, holy shit, there's a multiverse. Holy shit, this is cool. So that's what I think. I think if you don't watch the multiverse, the Disney Plus shows, like particularly WandaVision, Loki,
and What If,
those two. What if ties in? But I think my point is the whole scope of where the show's going, multiverse, Kang, and all that stuff. What If is cool because they make references to it, but I think like the nuts and bolts, mainly WandaVision and Loki. If you haven't seen that, this movie's to introduce you to that world, right? So
I feel like What If was heavier than Loki, honestly, because you've got 3 direct connections. You've got evil Doctor Strange, you've got Captain Carter, and then you have
but those were all the tie-in wise. Like if you want to understand that reference, sure, but not to the overall long play of what Kevin Feige and the Marvel team is doing for whatever phase 4, 5, and 6 is going to be. Right? I feel like this is like, you need to know, again, for the fan that doesn't know all that other stuff, you need to know where it's going, and you need to be introduced to the multiverse, right? So I think that What If and the one, like, it's for us to be like, holy shit, I know that reference, that's cool, and I appreciate it, and I loved it, I had so much fun. But yeah, so that's why I think like I get your points for us, because we're like watching every single thing ever, but I think that if you're not, this is like the door that's gonna open you up to the multiverse and kind of know sort of what's going on, so I feel like I forgive it for that.
I feel like I agree with you with that, but in a aspect of going backwards, going back and watching these things, not a step forward, but for you to step back and see what got to us to this point. That's where I feel like I agree with you on there. It's for the fans that have watched it, and then for those that haven't, well, what the hell is this? Maybe I need to go back and watch this. And I say that because I got a shit ton of texts of people that are, okay, so I didn't watch the shows. Is that why this is happening? Oh, is that why this is? Yes, that's exactly why you should have led to this. But as fun of a ride as it was, and I loved all the characters. I love Benedict Cumberbatch. He was great. I love him and Wong's banter. The new character, America, she's a great character. I think she's got a lot of potential. Wanda, I mean, her story is pretty fucking sad. And to see that she got broke to this point, she made a great fucking villain. She really did. I understand why she got to the point where she got to, but
that's the one thing. Her story arc is the one thing where my take on it, where like, oh, this movie was for the people who didn't watch that stuff, is like the one hole for me, that because like I feel like if you didn't see WandaVision, you're gonna come into this and be like, where the fuck did that come from? Especially the kids. It's like, where did that come from? Right. So, again, I kind of watched it and kind of process it with the eye of, okay, this was for me with all the references, but the overall story of where they're going, because this is just another episode and another fucking 23 movies before they get to like Thanos, 2.0, whatever they're gonna do.
Kang, and that's my quip.
Sure,
Kang should have, like, we're building Kang up to be the next Thanos, supposedly. Where is he? Even a small cameo would have been great. I just feel like they dropped the ball in not actually getting us anywhere beyond this.
Yeah. And you know what else I wanted? Just one thing. Just one stupid thing I really wanted. I'm pissed that they didn't, unless I missed it. And when I watch it on Blu-ray, when it comes out, hopefully they did do it, is when they're going through the multiverses and they're becoming paint and doing all that shit. Like, remember they're breaking through like a bunch of multiverses at once. Just, I know you didn't have to, but you're already doing all this fan service. Just give me the Watcher. Just give me the Watcher looking like fucking in the background, just watching.
Oh, no, we got the Living Tribunal, but we didn't get the Watcher.
We didn't.
I was
right?
watching, I was watching that shit like a fucking hawk. I went back and I went and looked at it in slow motion too, but there's no Watcher. That's an aspect that did bum me out. Like I said, overall fun, gory, not what you were. I don't think anybody was really expecting it to be as scary as it was.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, it's not a horror movie, but it's definitely creepy as shit. But yeah, there's a lot of fan service. I mean, I even knowing, so it's my spoiler, I think I mentioned to you guys, a friend posted when opening night, who's a supposed movie guru too, posted the fucking picture of Mr. Fantastic.
Oh, what a
directly
dick.
From the screen.
Oh,
big
my
move,
God.
Dude. Big move. I was like,
sucks.
I was like, bro, that's such a dick move. What, man? I was like, you know better than that. No spoilers. Oh, I was like, oh, I mean, I already heard rumors and was kind of expecting, but you still want that visual. Yeah. I was like, that's such a dick move. Delete. So you're gone.
Yeah, dude.
But dude, man, all the feels just hearing that X-Men intro.
Oh my God.
I knew about that. It's coming out in that fucking chair. Great,
dude. The part that got me choked up the most, because I'm not even gonna lie, when that whole scene where Xavier comes out, he's in the fucking cartoon sort of accurate chair, but not that was great. That was great, right? That was great. But what the part that got me the most was the dream sequence when he's walking and looking for Wanda, and he's got like that same kind of gait that in the cartoon that he's got, where he's kind of still slumped over, but he's still walking. He doesn't have like, I was like. I legit, like, I almost like shed a tear, y'all. Like this, I felt all the feels for that part, man. And that's what this movie is. This movie is a ton of fantastic scenes, action sequences, a ton of fun, not too much on the story. Like, they introduce a new character and
it's
basically know nothing about her. They don't progress Doctor Strange too much as a character. It's kind of cool where they're like, oh, like the potential for evil that he does have, right? Because everyone's fucking terrified him, like in every universe they go to. But he doesn't, at the end of the day, I don't feel like he came out like he grew too much, maybe as like, oh, okay, I won't kill you, America, at the end. Like, he saves her, but like, because the other Doctor Strange was like, oh, in the calculus of the universe, but he already did that shit. And from Endgame, like, we already know that he's willing to make the sacrifice, right? He doesn't give up. He does give up the time stone, even though because he sees the future, but still, like we already knew that of him. Like, he's the better version, hopefully, of all the rest of Doctor Strange for that capacity for evil. And what I will also say is, like, just take a real quick sidestep to Sam Raimi's direction. I loved it. Like, I felt like this was the most comic booky movie that Marvel's done in a while. Like, kind of like if you go back and watch Spider-Man 1, like with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, like there's scenes in that feel like you're just pulling right off the comic page. And I love the way they use, they do it a lot in other, every time there's Doctor Strange, he opens a portal and they kind of go through and it changes. But here it felt like more like they were changing panels, or you're flipping to a new splash page, or like, just, they used his portals or even like them breaking through realities. And it just felt like you were turning the page of a comic is the best way I felt while I was watching. And I absolutely loved it. But on the flip side, that campy cheesiness of it, like, I felt that the Doctor Strange zombie was on screen way too long, where I got to a point where I couldn't take it seriously. Like, at first I'm like, this is badass and cool and kind of horror. But then, like, when they got him like with the fucking fuck the face and kind of trying to be emotional and shit, I'm like, stop it already. Like, let's like, yeah. I'm like, and I just, it was like, this looks stupid, but not enough where it took. There was so much more where I could forgive like those points, and it was just a fun ride where it felt like a just an episode of a show. Not it didn't feel too heavy on the plot, like, other than introducing the multiverse to people who don't know what the multiverse is. That's like for me, that was the only point of this movie. Like barely even America. Like they introduced that character, but I feel like
and that's why I knocked so many points off. That's where it falls for me. Is it just feels like this isn't the most accurate comparison, but for me, it's like a Thor Dark World where it's just a filler. I know. It's a better ride. It's a lot more fun. Thor Dark World is just a filler movie. And I'd say probably out of
for that, I guess so. The example, the line that you're drawing, which I think you're drawing, which I can agree with, is like, oh, this is just to introduce the ether, right? The reality stone, right?
That's just an introduction for something.
That's the only point of that movie, just for Dark World. But I will like 100 times better than Thor is like my bottom.
Agreed.
Thor Dark World might be the worst fucking Marvel movie. God.
It's tied with Eternal. I don't know.
I would. That's a fine.
My bottom three are Eternals, Captain Marvel, and Thor Dark World. Those are my bottom three.
Off the top of my head, I would agree.
I think those are my bottoms.
But anyway,
I
had a fun ride, Doctor Strange, and I think you should go see it in the movies. 100%. Like you really should. It's fun as fuck. Action sequences are great. The Illuminati. The only thing I was so hoping that Tony Stark was going to show up as. I mean, Tom Cruise was going to show up as Tony Stark, especially when they had. So let me ask you a question. With the part where we have Christine's doppelganger or world. I forgot what number world they're in when they go see the Illuminati.
So really quick before you even get to that part, did you geek out when you heard Baxter building, the Baxter Foundation?
Oh my God, yes, of course, yeah. That's
I was like, oh yes,
and I'm like, oh, they're gonna bring him in.
My bad. Go.
No. So when they show Ultron, Christina not being as kind of, I guess, involved but she took it as this was Ultron's world that they were living in, the Illuminati. I took it as that Ultron bot was Tony Stark successfully implementing his armor around the world that he wanted to from. Okay. That's what, I just had that.
That's not an Ultron, because if that were an Ultron based world, I really feel that the Illuminati would have brought it up.
Yeah.
Instead of just a threat.
Yeah.
But so that whole sequence was dope. Like, again, complete fan service. And I'm really, another thing that upsets me is the marketing on Doctor Strange was probably the worst marketing that they've done ever.
Extremely misleading.
No, not even misleading. They gave away so much of this fucking movie when they shouldn't have. Those cameos should have been saved instead of blatantly acknowledging them. And they gave, like, even Kevin Feige went back and said, we gave away too much of this movie. Like, he went on in an interview and said, we spoiled more than I would have actually liked. And they did. I felt like that killed it. But yeah, that whole Illuminati sequence was great. Given the fact that they gave us
when his head just exploded, his mouth was shut and his head explodes.
I love the fact that they gave us animated series Professor X, not X-Men universe. Like the fact that that's the one that we got. Cool.
Yeah.
Captain Carter was fucking badass. Redemption for fucking Black Bolt. That dude looked badass.
Yeah.
Like I love the
Redemption. Where was he at? Where else was he?
The God Awful Inhumans TV show.
I never saw. Okay, I never saw that. Okay,
no one did. It was horrible. Okay. It was terrible. But I love that they redeemed all these characters. I love the what am I looking? The rapport between all of the characters in the Illuminati. And then when John Krasinski pops up with his dude, another Easter egg is the time portal that comes up that he pops in and out of. That's Doctor Doom's time machine.
Oh, really?
So that's another Easter egg. That's Doctor Doom's invention. But John Krasinski, man, I'm all for him being Mr. Fantastic.
100%.
But yeah, and then they get murked in the worst ways. So Maggie went to the restroom. I was like, oh, baby, go. Yeah, hold on. She came back. She's like, but luckily in our theater, it was right next door. So she went in as he's being walked from the cage to the Illuminati.
Mm-hmm.
That whole time, she managed to go use the restroom, come right back.
Okay.
But she walked in as they're getting introduced.
Don't touch me. You didn't wash your hands.
Yeah. But she stayed downstairs and she didn't want to walk in front of anybody. So she stayed downstairs and watched that and the whole murder scene all away from me. She's like, oh my God, what did we just watch? They got fucking annihilated. Wanda decimated these people, dude. When his head pops,
my only quip with that whole fight scene was I felt like Captain Marvel would have given her more work, like than she actually, like the fact that she died from like a pillar falling on top of her and like kind of
oh
squashing
yeah,
her. I was like, they could have done better than that. I was disappointed in that death, but the way she took out everyone else, I'm like, oh my god, dude, that shit
cut
was
in
so
half,
crazy.
breaking necks,
Fucking turn
turn to
into spaghetti.
ribbons. Yeah,
Yeah,
turn to
yeah,
spaghetti,
yeah.
which was cool. Easter egg for if you've ever read the Infinity Gauntlet comic,
Oh
because
no, no, I haven't.
Thanos does that to Mr. Fantastic to kill him.
Oh Jesus
But
Christ.
oh yeah, he does it to Nebula. That thing he does to Nebula in Infinity
Oh,
War is the same thing he did.
okay, 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 okay.
But
What what frustrated me though, one of my nitpicks was like that whole, so that sequence that happens, and then Doctor Strange was able to escape with Christine and America, and they're running through like, this underground passage that's under a river, right? Like with like all these,
oh
and
yeah,
then Wanda's following them. So they stop and like wait for her, and then okay, fine, they pull the thing and they drop the water in on her, so they get away. They go into the room to get that book that they were looking for, the good book. I don't remember what it was called, and they stare at it for like a good 45 seconds and nobody walks towards it. Like, yo, she's right behind you. Stop it. And then they walk up to it all slow and like pull it down. I'm like, where's the urgency here? There's zero urgency. Like, yo, run towards this book. I'm like, well, this shit's not gonna end well. Like it was little stupid shit like that where I had problems with it. And that happens a few times throughout the movie, like especially in the beginning where the first the mullet Doctor Strange is fighting, not mullet, but tied back hair Doctor Strange is fighting that creature in whatever in between universe they were in, and like America could have gone ahead, like dude, she's fighting, distracted, fucking go run. I know you're scared, I get it, you don't have your powers, but that's where you got to be. You've been fucking trying to run away from this thing for God knows how long, the way you've been alluding to it. Like, move, bitch, move. like go. And the same thing for Doctor Strange, move, bitch, move. Like, go towards the book, stop it. Like, come on, man. You think
just
that
keep
shit
in mind,
her?
they're like, fuck, guys, we got a very thin plot. We got to stretch this shit out.
It is a thin plot. Like I said, the movie's a ton of fun parts and fun scenes, which I can forget. Like I had so much fun that all of like the plot thinness of it is like super forgivable. Like just even the fact that it's just like, oh, Wanda, you could have. It's seemingly fucking infinitely more powerful than you were in Westview from the show. You could have kind of just done the same thing. Like you could have just created your own kids.
She got depowered. Like they depowered the shit out of her. She could have just created these fucking kids again.
Yeah. So
there are those little quips.
But then my excuse for that is the book turned her crazy, right? So that's what they were saying the whole time. It's like you read from that book, and that's why they were so scared from Doctor Strange, like getting access to it, because that book influences you. It's like the Book of the Dead or whatever it was called. Like it does, it put its power onto you, so it does make you powerful, but also turns you crazy. So that's kind of like my forgiveness of it. And we have to start wrapping this up. We're a little over what we wanted to be and talking about the subject. But my last thing was, and John hated it. I love this. I want to know what you thought. The music fight scene, I fucking loved it. I thought that shit was super creative and a lot of fun. When he's fighting evil Doctor Strange,
that's where
I loved it. Yeah, really? I thought that shit was so cool.
Maggie felt the same way. She's like, I don't know about that music scene. The music scene was that was hella campy. Like it was
yes. I love it.
But it was like, it was campy to the point where it made me cringe. It really did make me cringe. I was
it made me cringe as much as the zombie Doctor Strange, like in the last like fucking 2 minutes.
No, that was probably my cringiest moment for the whole thing.
I loved it, man. I thought it was so cool.
It was cool for a second, but it just stretched out. Like if it would have been one note and then one note back, it just stretched. I don't know. It just took too long. Like
it was Danny Elfman in the background, fucking all the music lining perfectly with it. So I loved it. Oh, all right. And last thing before we move on. Well, my last thing, I'll let you say one more, your last piece on it. But Christine Palmer, Rachel McAdams, where the fuck did that mole come from? I could not stop.
Maggie said the same shit, bro. Maggie said, has she always had that mole?
I leaned over to Christina. I'm like, has she always had that mole? And she's like, I don't think
to get it checked out though, because it's grown in years. Like it was a little bitty mole and it's gotten fucking. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. Maggie did, like, she's like, hey, does she always have that mole? Like, yeah, but it was smaller. Like it's huge now.
But again, I'll wrap up my thing with I loved it. Go see it in the theater if you can. If not, watch it on Blu-ray or 4K or streaming, whatever. try to watch the stuff before, especially WandaVision for sure. If you want to get fucking Wanda's motivations, like you definitely kind of have to see. I feel like you have to see it. What If is great. Loki, the tie-in, like especially the multiverse, but you don't have to have seen Loki. I feel like to kind of get what's going on. You don't need it.
Had we had some cameo from Kang or some more introduction or some more depth with Kang, I feel like Loki would have been necessary. But yes, WandaVision for sure. The What If episodes, they do help a lot. Necessary, not quite, but they do help. But the Loki, you could skip that if need be. Last thing,
and I'm sorry, I do have something else. What kind of pissed me off about like America's power is like she's so depowered because of Loki to me. Like this cop, whatever they call the time cops or whatever the fuck they're called. They have her power essentially, but with a computer, they're able to go to timeline, whatever. And they're just able to go wherever the fuck they want to any universe. So she's really not that impressive. So if you haven't seen Loki, it's like, oh, that seems kind of cool. She can open up a portal, but like, no, every single cop in this time world that Loki's a part of, like can do exactly that. So kind of like, to me, it's like just super depowered. Like I was just like, oh, okay. Like it's not that impressive, but that's just kind of, anyway. God.
My last 2 cents on it were, again, I enjoyed it, but I give it a low rating only because it's a one-off episode. It's a one-shot movie with so many balls are dropped. What I'm hoping for, and from what I've heard, is like there's still a lot on the cutting room floor. Deadpool was supposed to, from like all intents and purposes, like the most accurate rumor was he was supposed to pop in. So I'm hoping we get that on like the bonus shit for the DVD. And I'm almost positive that Tom Cruise had filmed as well. Like they had caught him on set. So I don't know what happened there either. I know they went through a shit ton of reshoots, but I'm hoping that we get those glimpses. But yeah, it's probably like mid movies for me, high mid movies as far as rankings are concerned.
I would agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
But I like you said, I recommend watching it in the movie theater because of the horror aspect. It's great watching it in that dark Dolby sound surround sound.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a fun
movie. There's like legitimate jump scares in that shit.
Yeah,
you just like, and it reminds me of like one of my
she
favorite.
Looks at the fucking screen, dude. When she just looks over at the camera and breaks the fourth wall. I was like, okay, cool. And that was just ad-libbed. And Sam Raimi was like, we're going to keep it.
Yeah, one of my favorite Sam Raimi horror movies is Drag Me to Hell. I don't know if you're with Justin Long.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great one.
And it gave me like just strong vibes of like that movie has like these ridiculous horror sequences that are amazing and fun to watch and campy. I got a lot of that from this movie. You know, like people are saying like Evil Dead 2. People are like kind of comparing it to. I don't really remember Evil Dead 2 all that much. I know I've seen it. I remember him traveling back in time, I don't know. But for me, I felt if you watch like if you watch Drag Me to Hell and you can see that influence on like the horror aspect of this movie, well Sam Raimi's, his like influence on this movie from that. I loved it. I had a ton of fun. Go see it if you haven't. And I will review it again once I see it, whenever it comes streaming.
The second time. We'll recap like we usually do.
We went way longer than we thought. My bad.
I figured it was. This one, I don't know. This is going to be a good one. So here's where we're divided. We're going into Moon Knight, folks. The Disney Plus show starring Oscar Isaac. I loved it, and I know why. I'm pretty sure you're still against it. You're probably still against it. I loved it. So I've always been a fan of the character. The way I summed it to you guys, and it's still the case on page, he's essentially a Batman in the Marvel universe, but with DID. So the show doesn't really touch on too much of the street vengeance that I'm sure you were wanting. But here's my justification to that. We've already got a Batman on TV, on cartoons. What I loved about it, even though I'm at the same time bummed that I didn't get more Moon Knight, I loved Oscar Isaac. I loved his inner battle. I loved the turmoil of the DID. I loved all these little aspects outside of the character. And that's where I feel like the show really worked for me. Because even if this were a Superman analogy, we've seen that to death, right? But to see the backside or see a flip side to those stories, I think is cool. So I like the adventure that we went on to see who Stephen Grant / freaking Mark Spector is and how he's gotten to this point. I really dug the journey. My quips with the show, I would have liked to see some more Moon Knight. I feel like the resolution was a little too quick. The show should have gone at least, I feel, maybe another episode or two. Those are my quips. I was same thing with like Doctor Strange. The ending of the show didn't really go anywhere where I'd hoped it was going to go. I was hoping it was going to lead in towards what I think they're building up for, and we'll touch on this in the news, is the Marvel Knights imprint. I feel like that's where this is leading to. And like I said, I'll cover that a little bit later. But overall, I really enjoyed the show. I really loved the acting. I think Oscar Isaac acted his ass off in this shit. Like, I loved the flip side of his characters.
There's things I love. And I think part of, so when Chico and I talk offline, maybe not, it's somewhat on here, but offline, I think we do it to each other to kind of egg each other on, is like, he'll take a position where like, oh, I loved it. And I'm like, and it puts me in a position where like, dude, no, like I know, like, so it kind of, he'll talk it up so much, but I think he's doing it to like fuck with me because he knows how I'm like not enjoying it as much. And
spoiler alert, I am.
And it kind of, I know. And it makes me kind of take a position of like, whoa, you're completely wrong, right? Like, we kind of just go back and forth.
You're like, fuck you.
But so I will agree, Oscar Isaac's amazing. Hold on, except sometimes that British accent, bro. Like, it was rough at points, especially when they do the flashback and he's like when he's watching his young self and his little brother go through the cave, and like, you learn that his brother dies and all that stuff, and kind of what brought on his DID. Bro, he's like yelling for them to come out. I'm like, oh my God, stop talking right now. And again, I watch these shows where I'm extremely forgiving of most of the shit. Doctor Strange, I know there's a ton of fucking plot holes. Doctor Strange, Spider-Man No Way Home. Yeah. But if you give me a fun ride, I can go along for the ride, and my suspension of disbelief will hold because I'm having fun with the journey. And not even necessarily just, it doesn't. So Moon Knight, I get that it's DID, right? So you don't want it. It's not necessarily, might not be fun, right? But at least make it compelling. They failed for that for me. They did it in one episode 4. No, or was it 5 when they were doing the backstory? It was 5. And I felt like it was too little too late. By this point, it's 6 episodes. Now you're giving me the backstory and now you're making it interesting. When the first 3 episodes you gave me, oh, it's cool, isn't it? Like, that's it. Like, this is like no, like you're Steven versus Mark. Like, I didn't want to even see Steven on screen. You weren't interested.
What you wanted was the cum shot first, the sex afterwards.
But you didn't make it compelling. Like, it didn't hit for me. Like, I didn't care that they need to make me kind of care why he's switching back and forth personas. They never do that. Like, they
and that's weird because that's where that happened for me. I enjoyed the journey to find out.
No,
I didn't want that up boring. Here's the origin story within the first couple of minutes. Like, I could have
done the first couple of minutes, but maybe the second episode or the third, right? Like,
it's still the build up to see. And then here's the way it worked for me, because at one point I'm like, well, up until episode 5, which one is a real personality? Which one's the dominant? Like, I like that it had me teeter-tottering both ways. I will agree with you. The British accent was cringy, but I think that's the purpose of, again, that dual identity. It's not an authentic. He's forced it upon it, and he got it from a fucking TV show, which is another bad example of the accent. So I appreciate it because I can see where they were pulling it from. It wasn't intentionally. It wasn't supposed to be accurate. It wasn't supposed to be on point. You learn where he's derived that from and why he talks that way, and it's because of a shit show.
But my other point is, I would be willing to overlook that stuff if, when I do get to like the Moon Knight action sequences, that there were cooler. Like, even like the end of the first episode, which is all because I did see the trailer to Moon Knight because I didn't know anything about it going into it, and like they show him in the like him change and in the bathroom, like beating the fuck out of someone, right, in the trailers. Right? I remember that distinctly. And finally, that's the big reveal at the end of episode 1. Like, he's like, you're following Steven, which he doesn't know what's going on. He's working in his museum, and all of a sudden he kind of gets thrown into this whirlwind situation, which there were cool parts of that first episode where they were like, when he kept blacking out and all of a sudden like he was in a new part. That was cool. But then they did use it like 2 or 3 more times in future episodes. Like, no. I want to see the action now. Like, stop it. Like, stop making him black out. And now I'm in this, like, how did I end up here? I'm driving ice cream truck already or something. That first episode, that part was cool. But then finally, when they do the big reveal and he's fighting some weird Egyptian dog and he turns in, like, I just didn't care. I'm like, oh, that shit was stupid. Right. And like, it didn't do anything for me. Second episode, like, I kind of wish that shit didn't even exist. Like, I don't even need the second episode. The third episode where it's the third or fourth where it's him and the wife finally, which she was, for me, the best character of the whole goddamn show. She was the most interesting. She like, I wanted to know more about her.
I still think I have been looking on the internet just to make sure she's not the same fucking person from The Punisher. Like, she talks like her, she looks like her. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Like, all the same little thing, and they're not even related, which I think is weird.
Yeah,
but I liked her, but she still didn't. Like, I didn't find her. I didn't find her that compelling. I mean, she was cool, but I don't know, man. I disagree.
Well, the fact that she came in and she knew kind of what was going on. She knew Mark was like this guy, and so she had knowledge that I wish I had. Like, okay, wait, who's this Mark guy? Like, and like, but then also she's badass. She was kicking ass, and there was that one episode where they're in like it kind of felt like almost like Indiana Jones, like the first half of the episode before they bring him to the asylum where he gets shot. And I think the fourth episode. So that first half of that episode where they're like kind of hiding, and then all of a sudden you see like these Egyptian like zombies come to life, almost in vein of The Mummy, right? Like that same sort of like like feel to it, where they had like the fucking vases with the sphinx heads on it and shit, and there was like organs in it, and they were fighting. I love that. I love
the shit out of that,
bro. That episode, I was almost like, oh my god, if the rest of this show gives me more of this. Fuck yeah. And then you get Moon Knight in it, there's cool action sequences. So my issue with it, going back to it, is they stopped that. He gets shot, he goes into the insane asylum, which I'm like, okay. And but the action sequences where Moon Knight is on screen aren't that great. Like, they got the one at the end of the first episode, which is like, okay. The second episode, he's not there. The third, he gets the second episode, he slams that the dog again that's chasing him onto like that's the fucking spike in the middle of the square, which I'm like, okay, that was cool, I guess, a little bit. Third episode, he has like a big fight scene with like there's like horses around where they're trying to get that piece of like Egyptian parchment or whatever to find out where the thing is, the whatever they're looking for. And it was decent. Moon Knight gets fucked up. His girl saves the day again. And he kind of pulls out a thing from his chest. They give him the Moon Knight look in the sky, which was kind of cool. But like, then it's like his fight scenes just weren't entertaining or compelling. Like, I didn't see anything new there. Even when they finally go through the whole journey of season 5, which was the episode 5, which was the best episode, where we learn about his backstory. It does make you care about why he's crazy. But then finally, like, they're going on the boat to like the land of the dead, and they're to like heaven, or whatever their version of heaven is, and they have like a zombie sand fight scene with these things that are coming off I was like, this is the stupidest fucking shit I've ever seen. I was so mad at that fight scene. I'm like, this is dumb. Why are you doing this? Cut it out. Like, no, make this better. Like, none of it was good. So that's my issue with it. Like, when Moon Knight or when they're fighting, it was never good. Even the last episode, there was one cool part, and I'm sorry I'm taking up a lot of this because I know you probably have a lot to say, but I'm almost done here. There was one cool part where visually
continues for another 45 minutes, folks.
Visually, it was fucking cool, but it's just stupid because it doesn't make sense. He's fighting in the streets. They're in Egypt, I think. And
when he swaps between him,
he keeps swapping between Mr. Knight and Moon Knight. They haven't told us, do they have different powers? Is there any reason for him to be switching between the two, other than, holy shit, that did look kind of cool on screen, him switching real fast between the two. And I think the Mr. Knight costume is a million times better than the Moon Knight costume. I'm just like, I don't see the point of this. Like, that was a pointless transition, but it did look fucking cool. Yeah. That was the only part. But then you got a fucking giant alligator fighting a giant skeleton crow in the sky, and I'm like, this is all bullshit. I don't care about any of this. Not even sure. The villain is like, hey, I want to let fucking this god out, and you know what, he does pretty easily. He gets everything he wants throughout the show, and it's just like, I still don't know why. Like, Ethan Hawke was compelling, he was a great actor, but they didn't develop him. Like, he just gets away with everything he wants to get away with, and it's that show was frustrating for me to watch, and I felt I watched it out of like a sense of duty to like Marvel, but I really like wanted to stop watching after like episode like 2. I was like, I'm fucking done with this show. But
well, here's my digression. So I will agree with you that the Moon Knight aspects, as I mentioned before, were lackluster. I agree with that 100%. We didn't get enough of it, and what we did get wasn't quality shit. Like, my quips with the character is the supernatural aspect is cool in one aspect, but the suit being supernatural too, I didn't like. I was not a fan of it being the symbiote and wrapping around him and then flipping back and forth. I would have loved a traditional costume. The superhuman powers, the healing and all that shit, that's not part of the comics. In the comics, they push it as far as he gets a little bit of enhanced strength when the moon is full, but that's about as far as it ever went. He gets fucked up in the comics. Like, he bleeds, he gets tore up, his costume shattered, and I wish they would have brought those aspects in.
Yeah.
So you might find it hard to believe, but I do agree with you with those parts. Like, the fight scenes should have been better. We should have had more quality scenes with Moon Knight. The costume, I did enjoy his traditional hero costume, but the Mr. Knight is definitely the better suit. But for me, that's not what everything else made up the show for me. I just really liked the inner turmoil. I really liked the development of the DID. I really liked that trauma. And even as annoying as Steven was, I really liked him when he was in those scenes. Like, I liked the brotherly aspect that they were really pulling off. And then the tragedy that comes with it. Like, I liked all those backstories, but I don't like what you pointed out, which were those things. The action scenes were fun. They were like Indiana Jones vibes, the heavy mummy vibes, and a lot of a fun ride. But as I stated, I wish it would have gone into a direction as well. Same quips as Doctor Strange. I wish it would have gone into a direction, and knowing that it's not going into season 2, which I still think is, again, bullshit. And I'll get to that later.
It got canceled?
Well, it was supposed to be a limited series. I think we'll get to that. Yeah. Regardless of that, those quips, I still really enjoyed the show. And I think Oscar Isaac is the main reason, because I feel like it's one of his best acting roles he's done. Like, he's a great actor, and I've loved him in other things, but this, like, if he doesn't get an Emmy nomination for this shit, I'd be very surprised. Like, his duality was very compelling. Like, the torture.
I did, man. Just that one episode, but no, I don't know. I can't agree. Like, I think when you're talking about, like, I wish that part, if that part was compelling, I would forgive it, because I could enjoy a good drama, right? Like, I think, if anything, if a show that did it well, it was WandaVision, right? WandaVision is never about being a superhero, really, until you get your superhero last episode and maybe a few things in between, but that shit's about, like, PTSD and dealing with depression and like, and that was compelling, and that's what that fucking show was about. And it's barely, there's magic and shit obviously involved, but it's never front and center and like, oh, this is what the show's supposed to be about. It's never, and the compelling part is the drama of it. And we're going to talk about this later. Same goes for fucking Superman and Lois. While there's cool fight scenes, the best part of that fucking show is the drama that's going on in the background and the family dynamics and all that stuff. They pull that shit off like a fucking magic trick. Same thing with WandaVision, same thing. And I feel like, and it's weird because you feel opposite, but I feel like where they had the opportunity with the cast that they had with Oscar Isaacs, they just didn't pull that off, man. Like, I wish that I was like, holy shit, like, this is how someone just is dealing with this fucking crazy situation, or DID, and I just never felt that. Like, it didn't connect with me. I don't know.
I feel like I feel like the show actually probably would have served better if it would have stuck to the vibes of like a Punisher and a Daredevil show, which is what he should be. He should be a street level hero. But I still liked it. Is it my favorite show? No. Do I want to shit on it? No. It's not on the level of fucking. I mean, for me, Loki was still a bigger letdown. Loki was just. I still
and I know I use this word, but because, like, again, it's like forgiveness, but I had more fun watching Loki because of, like, there was like jokes, and I kept rooting for fucking Owen Wilson. Yeah. Like, I loved Owen Wilson's character, so there was more for me to kind of root for, even though I like Loki's by far still, I don't know which one I would put ahead, because as frustrated as I was, there was still a lot to like about Moon Knight. Like you said, the acting, the directing, the cinematography was great.
Yeah.
I hated the voice of fucking Khonshu. I couldn't fucking stand it. but it sounded like Tom Hardy doing Venom. Like, it really did. I'm like, stop it already. Yeah, man. But I would say if you're listening to this and like, you're like my brother, if my brother probably listening, just skip Moon Knight. You're not he's not like a diehard watch everything. Like you don't have to, but if you're watching everything, you're keeping up, then do it. I wish they, and give me something. If you're going to tie this to phase 4, like give me fucking that big what from Eternals, the what's the thing that comes out of the water at the end? What's that
Celestial
called? A celestial. Reference that shit, right? Just show that shit in the water. Like, I don't know, give me something to tie it in. I get why like Shang-Chi was all happening in like a mystical land, so maybe they don't know about it, but fucking there's a giant celestial sticking out of the water somewhere in the world. Like, people know about that shit. That shit's just show me, like, give me something to tie it into the Marvel universe. Something.
So I'll agree with you. It's a filler, the same way Doctor Strange is. It's a filler show. It's a show with no real leeway anywhere. It's just a Marvel property. Here it is. Watch it if you want. I still say it's watchable. Again, we've watched worse things on television and Netflix and all that, and it's not anywhere near as bad as some of our worst shows. But it's definitely one of these that'll divide you. I feel like it's a 50-50. You're either gonna really enjoy it. I can't say love, because I don't love it. I really liked it, but I can't say I love the show. But you'll either enjoy it or you won't. I mean, that's really it. I don't feel like you'll have a lot of gray area in that one.
Yeah, and as much shit as I'm talking about it, if they do another one, like, I'm gonna see it. Like, I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt because the cast was so strong. Like,
we're gonna circle back to that.
Dude, yeah. Ethan Hawke fucking killed it. Oscar Isaacs killed it. I wish I knew the actress's name that played his wife, but Layla in the show, she fucking killed it. But yeah, man, I'm again, if you're a completionist, you're watching everything from Marvel, you've probably already seen this already. But if you haven't, you stuck with us this long, I wouldn't even watch it if I were you. Christina, she bailed after the first episode. She's like, just watch this without me. And she's seen
Maggie liked it too.
That's funny.
It's so funny.
Yeah, Christina bailed. She's like, you can watch it without me. I'm good.
We enjoyed it.
She's like, yeah.
She told me to tell you what she's like. Tell Sergio I need to talk to him. We need to discuss this shit,
dude. And especially like just to go out like a quick, and this goes for all the Marvel shows. I realize like how much of a fan I am of all of the Marvel shit, that like how forgiving I am generally, because like because especially since we've been doing this show, that's taken up like the bulk of like my TV viewing. Like I watch a lot of shit in the background while I'm working. I'll just have it on, but like what I pay attention to and watch, like to actually give my attention to, has been mostly Marvel shit or like Star Wars shit, stuff like that, more nerdy content. And so finally, like, since we took a hiatus, I had time to go back and watch Better Call Saul. Like I was caught up to like season 3, but I just went back and watched the whole thing, like from season 1. And I'm like, this is what TV is supposed to be right now. And like, it kind of made me, that show's so fucking good that it made me dislike all the Marvel shows, particularly a little bit less than I've been liking them. Like,
he's going to go on a whole different tangent here. All right, guys, I'm going to help you guys out before he starts going on a Better Call Saul.
No, I wasn't. That was the only point I was making. I was just like,
television shit. But on to better television. That's going to be our leeway to Superman and Lois. Again, received our highest praise since day one, mine in particular. And then I got Serge to jump on board. We are now on episode 8, I think, of season 2 or further.
So I have actually, so going on my little tangent I was just having about Better Call Saul, I'll switch it to nerdy, our nerd content, and tell me if you agree with this or not. I would say personally that Superman and Lois, both seasons so far, have been better than anything Disney Plus wise for TV shows, with the exception of Mandalorian. I think better than all the Marvel Disney Plus shows. I do like I have a Daredevil season 1 and 2 are like some of my favorite TV ever.
Now well, I can't compare it to the Netflix stuff.
I don't know if anyone listening, like, what about Daredevil? Because Daredevil's fucking fantastic.
Daredevil's great. Punisher's great. Jessica Jones season 1, fucking some of the best television ever.
That's true. But Disney Plus wise,
compared to Disney Plus, I'm kind of agreeing with you for the most part, with the exception of WandaVision, and for me, Hawkeye. I love the hell out of a Hawkeye. That was a great
fun. It was fun.
Ton of fun. WandaVision was heavy on drama. So I feel like Superman and Lois overall kills everything else and is on par with those two shows for me. So I'll agree in that it's much better quality than all of them combined, other than those two shows, and it's on par with those two shows. Superman and Lois shouldn't exist. I'm just going to put, we've said this before. It should not be as good of a fucking show as it is. Good. It's so good. And it's crazy. Like, again, CW shows aren't traditionally even close to this, but we're now on season 2. The main story that's going on is the introduction of Bizarro Superman. And they've put an interesting twist to this Bizarro version. But yeah, this Bizarro Superman comes to their universe, wreaks havoc. It's a threat, but that's only the small part. The big part here is, again, all the drama behind the scenes. You got so much shit going in the Kent house. You got so much shit going on with Lana Lang's family still. You've got this cult that's developing, which is part of the Bizarro storyline as well. But the cape and the superpowers take a huge backseat to such a great, fundamentally family show. Like
family drama, yo. It's so crazy how good it is.
It's so good with these kids dealing with the powers. You know, early on, we knew that it was going to be an issue with Jordan and Jonathan, with Jordan having the powers and not Jonathan. And it's starting to come along. Jonathan's on the fucking steroid kryptonite, getting hooked to that shit because he feels small. And then you get the introduction to his opposite side, which is essentially DC Comics' Superboy, which I thought was a great little Easter egg with him with the suit. That was cool. And he's a prick, which was the complete, like, I like a lot of what's going on with I didn't think I was going to enjoy the Bizarro world the way they were leading it.
I didn't think so either, man. I was just waiting for you to.
I'm cool. I like that they're giving us not the traditionally silly Bizarro or the experiment from Lex Luthor. Those are our traditional Bizarros, but Bizarro is essentially just a complete opposite of our Superman. He's a celebrity, still a hero, but it's more of a celebrity status between him and the family. He's only even pale and fractured because of his venture from one world to the other. He gets scarred on his way over here, and he's also hopped up on the crack on his world, which is why he gets discoloration. There's reasoning behind the way he looks, but the way that they flesh it out, so good. There are still cringy CW moments, but they're very few and far between. And I had one in mind that I was like, okay, I think it was episode 6. There was one episode that was very heavy on the cringe, heavier than usual, but still not as heavy.
For me, it was the whole the Spanish speaking out of nowhere. We talked about it in the last episode.
I didn't even think that was cringy. I thought it was, but I didn't. I thought I knew where they were coming from. What was it? It'll come back to me. I should have written it down.
So what I would say,
it's a fun ride.
Yeah, 100%. But what the show keeps doing is they're successfully, I guess, subverting my expectations, because anytime, and if you've been following the show, like the last time we had talked about it, one of my frustrations was, I'm like, man, you have, the name has escaped me, but John Henry's daughter, she finally comes over. They have a little bit of Natalie. So she meets Lois, which is not her mom, but her mom's doppelganger from the world that she came from. And she has like this moment of like, oh, this is weird. You're my mom, but my mom got murdered by Superman, which is Clark Kent, who's standing right next to you. I should be scared. I should feel love. I should, so as a son myself, if I saw that shit, I'd be like, what it should blow your fucking mind, which it kind of does in the first episode, but then it feels like they resolve it quickly. But thank God they do bring it back. And these last few episodes,
I told you they were going to circle back around.
I know. And I'm just like, thank God, because it's like a big problem, right? And I'm like, this would be a problem. And I'm glad that they addressed that, like, storytelling wise. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, this makes more sense that she's still struggling with this, right? Because how the fuck can you not? And then same thing where you had touched on it a second ago. 3 episodes, I'm not sure what number episodes they're on now, but 3 episodes ago, at the very end of the episode, they showed Bizarro Jonathan shows up to the Kent farm, and Lois looks at him, it's like, you're not my Jonathan. The episode ends, and then the next, they take a fucking 3-week hiatus, and then the next episode comes, and they just show, they kind of leave that alone, and they show, hey, Clark's been missing for a month, and like what's been going on. Jonathan's becoming like his own little, not Jonathan, the other son, Jordan is trying to become his own superhero, which I fucking love that storyline too, where he's trying to, like, she's running for election and he's trying to go off, and he's learning like, oh shit, this is what my dad goes through. Like, I want to save people, but my girl needs me, and like my family or this person,
they're finally getting the struggle that they were bitching about at the beginning.
Loved it. And I forgot that Jonathan showed up at that tag of that episode. Like, I completely forgot. So then finally in the following episode where they do show him, and then like I remember thinking like that kid looks stupid. Like, oh my god, they're doing an emo fucking Jonathan. Great, right? Like that was my feeling for it. And then when they have the episode where they show his backstory with the Bizarro Superman and their family dynamic, I'm like, God damn it, they got me again. It's so good. I was like, they keep pulling it off. And anytime I think, man, like the kids aren't the best actors, but they're doing enough where like they're pulling it off, right? Like sometimes I'll get moments of like, but for the most part, they're doing a great job. Like I think it's just those initial moments of like when he first shows up and he's emo and shit. And I'm like, oh, he looks stupid. I kind of maybe judge, but then finally when they go and they're doing the scenes, and I'm like, this kid's killing it. Like he's doing a great job. Yeah, like he's being
the douche he's supposed to be.
And the action sequences are even getting better. So this, especially this half of the second season, there's a lot more action. It's a ton of fun. There's a few parts where you know how I can't stand the fucking muscle suit of Superman. Like, at times.
That's still my bit.
There was legit one episode where I thought like his chest was moved over to the side. Like after some shit happened, I'm like, dude, fix that before you roll the cameras again. Come on, man. But other than that, like they're just, it's again, I watch these shows and I want to like them, and they're doing so much on the drama side that I'm forgiving most of my shit that they're having with some of the action sequences, which again, they're still fun. And you know, it's CW, so you get some choppy CGI here and there and shit, but it's
we get forgivable. Superman beatdowns. Like you actually get a fight scene with Superman fighting his ass off.
Yeah.
But yes, the acting is great. From day one, I've loved the dynamic of the brothers. They actually pull off being brothers. They pull off the mood that they should be in. Like the fight sequence with you're caught up right all the way to the most recent one. Yeah.
Yep.
You can see how Jordan's been waiting to whoop his brother's ass for a long time. Like that brotherly angst where they can actually get it out. And even Jonathan sees it on the side. He's like, all right, like, where's this coming from? But I mean, I'm sure he gets it. But he finally gets to let loose on his brother and whoop his ass.
Yeah, get out of here. Where's this coming from? A fucking episode ago, you were taking drugs and you decided to beat the shit out of your brother in front of your grandpa because you were jealous they had powers. Get out of my face. You know where this is coming from. Like, exactly, but it's still, he's just like, oh shit.
But all the dynamic of the show is really, really good. And even though they have these long hiatuses, I'm still okay with it because it's such a good show. It's worth the wait. And we talked about this from the beginning. I love that they changed the format of this show compared to all the other Arrowverse shows where you had 20 something episodes and they were all fucking full of fillers and bullshit. But now we've got a solid 13 to 15 episodes of quality television. I'm going to say quality CGI comparison to other things.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been a great ride and I'm enjoying it. I wish they would have not fucked with the suit as much as they have because they redesigned it. The muscle suit aspect is a lot more noticeable, as you pointed out. I see it because the S symbol has been embedded into the suit versus before where it was prominent, like it was protruding out. You could actually see the shape of it. I like that design more. For whatever reasons, they decided to change it up. But overall, great show. It's a great watch. If you're not watching, I recommend the living shit out of it. Yeah.
You cut off. It's the what you said. It's the.
I said it's great. It's great TV. It's a good shit to watch.
No, I couldn't agree more. And they do a great job. Just to wrap it up real quick, like if you watch the Flash, the first season of Flash is like still so good. But I do think that these two seasons maybe even be better than that first season. I'd have to revisit that one. But
I love the Flash too. And I've got to say about
Flash. Flash does a very good. But that formula of villain of the week gets old, even though they do have an overarching villain. They do a villain of the week every week, and it kind of does get old because there's like only so much you can kind of keep throwing at the audience. But on the flip side, they don't have a villain of the week with Superman, but it's also not a villain of the whole season. If it is, like, there's the one, like the lady, I forget her name, the one, that's looking for the pendants and shit. I guess she's the villain of the whole season, but there's a lot of sub villains throughout that last like 2 or 3 episodes or maybe more that it still feels fresh and new, even though maybe it's the same puppet master throughout, like in the first season with the brother, it was him, but there was still so much other shit going on. Not necessarily a villain of the week, but, villain of the, half seasons maybe, and so that storyline changing up for the superhero aspect of it.
You had obstacles. Here you have more obstacles versus villains, and these obstacles actually make sense.
Yeah, it's great. I agree. So yes, I I'm so happy you pushed me to watch it because I was kind of over the CW shows, honestly. Like after I fucking completed Arrow and I tried to get into Black Lightning and I saw like the first season and a half and I was just like, and then I saw Supergirl. First season was actually good. For the first
I like
season,
the first two seasons of Supergirl. Those were fun.
The second season was okay, and then there was like a steep drop off after that. But yeah, man. So far, hopefully they can keep it going, and maybe don't go 9 seasons. Let's just go 3 or 4. Tell your story and hopefully end it. I don't know, but
or have like the little special episodes, like holiday episodes they do on other shows. But yeah, great watch, guys.
Yeah.
So we're not really going to touch on.
Hold on real quick. We're at an hour, so let's. Do you want to do news or do you want to just talk about randoms? Let's just do one.
I was going to do real random stuff. So it's not really news, just kind of random shit. So leeway to that was, great show, and it's one of 3 the last shows that are going to be on the CW. Everything got fucking wiped off the CW. Legends is gone, Batwoman's gone, Supergirl's gone. What's the fucking show? Naomi? Was it? I tried watching that one. It was the newest show that was on there. She's basically, it's a Superman story, but she's from another dimension. I have
no idea what you're talking about.
I tried watching it. It was terrible as well. But the only thing I was to say is, so CW is clearly doing something. They're cleaning house and have gotten rid of almost like a majority of their TV shows. Superman and Lois has been spared. Flash is supposed to be on their last season. I think the cast is ready to move on from what I've read.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, but it's as long as this show's still sticking around for a while, I'm good. Just a couple quick tidbits, and then what I did mention earlier, going back to Doctor Strange, was 2 things I noticed. And one of my quips was we should have had a sighting or cameo of White Vision. That I feel was a letdown.
Of course.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you noticed, but they've dropped Spider-Man off all the tags. So
what do you mean?
Since
off the Marvel crawl,
Marvel
not
logo,
the crawl, but the logo. Yeah. Oh shit! No, I didn't notice.
So I don't know what's going on there. I did notice that.
Negotiations, man. I guess.
Yeah, and what I was gonna say earlier was, so big news is, it's been rumored Daredevil's back in is coming to Disney Plus. It's still in rumor phase, but Charlie Cox is coming back. They're bringing it. Along with that rumor, they're giving the Punisher a movie instead of a show. Yeah. Nice. He's supposed to be getting a movie. So what I think they're doing with Moon Knight and not announcing a season 2, there used to be a line that they were trying to build with Ghost Rider. I think Ghost Rider is the only one that actually ended up with the tag, but it's Marvel Knights. That was like their dark line, their supernatural line. I think they're trying to build that up. From what I've read, is get Daredevil going, Moon Knight going, Blade, and Punisher, and start building this Marvel Knights segue for all these darker characters. And I think Deadpool might end up going in that direction as well, and maybe that's why he got pulled.
What would be cool for Ghost Rider? I mean, just this is my first time hearing this, but would be like, hey man, I need your soul for Moon Knight. Like, bring him to let him be the antagonist for the next Moon Knight season or whatever they do, or like maybe not the main antagonist, but I got to collect your soul. Like I was gypped. Like, right, you had Steven who got into the sand, then you had Mark who got into Valhalla or whatever the hell he was, but then they both leave. One of them was supposed to be in hell, so. Hey, you got fucking Ghost Rider gets sent after him to collect his soul, and it's such a powerful soul at that. That could be interesting. I'd be 100% on board for that shit. And so how it's gonna go. They're gonna flip him and blah blah blah. But
I wish it was still the interpretation that we ended up getting on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because that was actually a really cool interpretation of Ghost Rider. That was probably one of the best ones in years. Then the last thing I was going to mention was just the trailer for She-Hulk. I don't know if you got around to watching it.
I did, but I did straight up.
It looks fun.
Christina hates it. She's like, "Oh my god, this looks so stupid." I'm kind of taking it for what it's a straight up comedy. It seems like, that shit is a straight up comedy.
It's like a straight up comedy sitcom. My only quip with it, and I'm sure they're going to fix it before then, is the CGI looks terrible.
Oh yeah,
the CGI looks fucking terrible. But other than that, it looks like it's going to be fun. I mean, that's what the She-Hulk books have always been. They've always been comedic relief. So, but I'm stoked to see the Abomination again, and some of the this is also supposed to be another segue towards Daredevil, because Charlie Cox is supposed to have a a reoccurring role on here. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but
do you think they're gonna keep the tone of the Netflix shows for for Daredevil? You think they're gonna keep it as dark? Because I feel like they tried to get into the darker world with Moon Knight, but they still didn't succeed in Daredevil was pretty much rated R. Like, there's no way it would be like, I don't think it would be PG-13. Like, that shit's crazy. You think they'll keep that?
I don't know, man. I mean, the fact that we've got the shows on Disney Plus, I don't see why not. I mean, if that were an issue, why even bring those titles over? If you're going to have that quality of a show beforehand, now, through your filters, there's no reason not to. I mean, you now have a segue to be able to show those shows.
And that's what I was actually looking up right now. So for Daredevil, because I remember it being, for me, my favorite's the first season still. Like, I still like the Kingpin and that shit, like, was like one of the best villains ever. Like, it was just so compelling, so much fun to watch the action sequences. And I felt like it had a lot to do with they brought Drew Goddard on board to develop the show. Like, he did Cabin in the Woods, and he's wrote The Martian, and more recently he did Bad Times at the El Royale with Chris
Hemsworth.
And it was, I felt like that one was good. I felt like he was doing an interpretation of Quentin Tarantino almost, but it wasn't bad. But I do like him. But then, for whatever creative differences, he walked away from the second and third season. Like, did they any talk about him coming back at all, or is it going to be like the same?
No, they said the writers, they announced who's behind it. I don't know if you already have it up, but
no. I was trying to figure out the guy's name. I knew I couldn't remember, but yeah, it was Drew Goddard. Kind of like,
I'll get that here in a second.
I kind of felt the same way, like when what's it called? The Walking Dead was like Frank Darabont for the first two seasons. Those are like the greatest seasons. I think you got Frank Darabont, one of the greatest like directors, writers to like do stuff for that show. And then it's like, oh, they pull them for creative differences. It's like, why would you do that? Like, stop it.
So the guys behind it are behind the shows Covert Affairs on USA. They also did The Enemy Within on NBC, The Brave.
But did they also at least do the second two seasons of Daredevil, or they're just brand new to it?
No, this is new people to the whole thing.
You know me, I'm still gonna watch it, but
yeah. And from what I've read, they're actually gonna lean more on the less dark aspect. I've seen some concept art, and they're pushing for the yellow suit, which I think actually would be pretty cool. His original suit.
Okay. I have to look that shit up, but
to maybe meld it into the MCU kind of world. But those are that's the first one that's been announced. The Punisher one was announced, the rumblings last week, and I think Barenthal's made some little comments here and there trying to avoid it. But that's cool, man. I'm hoping those come back, because those are my favorite. I want fucking Jessica Jones to come back. Maggie's rewatching season 1 right now, and I'm just like, oh, fucking great show. The Purple Man was
season
one
one
of
was
the
good.
best villains ever.
I
feel like he's up there with Kingpin.
Season 2, I don't even remember.
Season 2 wasn't the best. Season 1 was great though. Season 2 was okay, but there was a lot of meh to that one.
Because again, it does one of those things where it succeeds in being a show about trauma, right? It succeeds in the drama and the action sequences. I mean, they're not even that great. I kind of they were fine, but it was just more like, she's not like a particularlarly good fighter. She just can't. She's just super strong.
She punched somebody hard. She flew.
Yeah. So yeah, but he was just a psychological terror, right? Like, that's a fucking horrifying power that guy had. So it's,
I thought he was he
was great.
Creepy. He was great. She's watching it while she works, and when she's at home between some of her showings. So she'll watch it in the background, and then I'm working and I walk downstairs. And I'm just like, oh my God, I get instantly just get pulled in, because the first season was just amazing. But I'm hoping all this pans out. I mean, the way they're lining it up, it could be a great thing. And I feel like that's one of the aspects that is missing from the MCU is they're fun movies, but give us a little bit of the darker stuff. You've got to be able to do some of this, because once Logan comes around and the rest of the X-Men, we're going into darker territory, hopefully.
I hope so. Yeah.
Aside from that, the only other thing I was going to talk about, it was Ozark. I finished that up.
That's that. Oh yeah. So too. But that leads the horror aspect that Multiverse of Madness brought to us, especially how violent that the way she takes out Illuminati is. Okay, you're not scared to go into this territory. I mean, you're still PG-13ified it, but it was still dark as fuck. Like, especially there's even that one scene where she's when she's going to Carmitage, the sacred place that they're all the what are Doctor Strange, the sorcerers are at, like training, the training place. And, she's throwing fucking bolts and trying to get through their force field, and she finally does. And there's like someone crawling away, and she just fucking like blasts him, and he like melts. So you get that horror aspect and super violent. Like that shit is like, I don't know if I want my kid. Like, I definitely won't let Sadie see it. Like, I'm not sure how old I would let my kids even see this movie to begin with. It's just so it is dark. So I do have hope that they will go there. Like,
but they're gonna have to, especially if they stick to their promise of it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no. Okay. Deadpool 3 is going to be R. Okay. It's going to be their first R. And they've actually, I don't know if you saw, Ryan Reynolds posted that they've got the things going on in his traditional manner. He put a picture of Peter in his interview and a bunch of Mint Mobile and all his other fucking advertising.
Oh, did he? No, I haven't seen. I love the Deadpool when he starts doing all the advertising and shit. That's great. Yeah, man.
So that one's makes
I hope so. When we talked about Sean Levy taking over, I think he's a bad director. I loved Free Guy. I liked Adam Project, didn't love it. But I do say he has an eye for directing action sequences. Like the action sequences are a ton of fun in both those movies. But I'm not sure if he brings what I want to Deadpool. I haven't seen it yet, so we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. But all right. Anything else?
No, I was going to ask you your opinion on the way Ozark ended.
Oh, dude. I felt like the wife did need a comeuppance, and she never got it. Did you get, at the same time, she has that line of like, when they're like, you're not allowed to win. And she's like, what do you mean? People like us are the ones who win. Right. So like, that was kind of cool. I fucking loved Ruth this season. Like the back half, where as soon as she comes in and she's listening to Nas, and like the one part, I don't think I talked to you about it. I don't know if I was talking to you about, but I couldn't stop laughing of how stupid it was when the first episode, still she's going to Chicago to get the cousin. Cause she learns that he's the one who killed her cousin and the other guy. Darlene and her cousin. And she bumps into Killer Mike at the diner. Yeah. And they have this moment of understanding of like, we're the same. It's like, we're not the fucking same. Stop it, like, stop it. Oh, you're listening to Nas, you fucking 2-foot white girl? Like, no, cut it out. Like that scene between them two was so fucking dumb. I couldn't stop laughing at it. I actively hated that scene. Yeah. I was like, this was completely unnecessary. But other than that, Ruth was a badass. I hated that she went out like a G, so man, it was good. I
thought it was a great final season. The second half was great. But I feel like they flipped the script on Marty. All the development that Marty had made went right out the window. He became her fucking bitch all over again. Yeah. And I felt like that was the biggest bummer. He had made all these steps. I'm gonna get love is love, but you really saw him grow as not a person, but just as this entity. Like he was be more reassured, confident, like he was becoming a badass independently. And then he just went back to just, all right, well, she said to do it, so I'm just going to do it. Yeah. I don't know. That last episode just bummed me out. She completely walked away with the Circe moment where she just got away with all that. She should have got it so fucking bad. Yeah. If anybody had to die, she should have fucking died. Yep. I agree. Yeah, man. Yeah. Ruth went out like a G. That was awesome. But I feel like a lot of shows are doing this, and Maggie and I talked about it, where they're ending ambiguously. And I don't feel like in this kind of a show, it should have been ambiguous. Like, I get the whole point, the bad people win. Yeah, the very last scene is like, it just goes dead. There's so much other shit that's going on that we should have known the ramifications of, other than you won. And not only that, you corrupted the most innocent out of your whole family, and Jonah kills this dude. Like, I just felt like that was a shit. I hated the ending.
The actual final last scene.
The actual fucking ending, I hated. Yeah. I would have been happy if the boat would have burned down, which I was partly expecting. The decision to follow Camilla versus Navarro made zero sense. To flip it, like, that was just like bad storytelling, bad writing. I don't know. Everything but that last episode had been great.
I feel like they didn't, like, I guess put a bow on it's not the right word, but it's kind of like it didn't feel like a final season. I feel like they're at the end of this season, they're in the same position that they were in every other season. They're still like, realistically, they didn't do anything to get out of the cartels, from under the cartel's thumb, right? They put her in power, sure, but she could easily be like, hey, Marty, I still need you to work these books or whatever, like still leverage one of the million things she has on them, the drug running with the senator or whatever that woman in power is, she's still, oh, this is the benevolent cartel boss. Why? Because she's a female. She's going to let them go. Like, no, like anything, she was like more ruthless than her brother was. Right. So like,
like that was just stupid. They should have known they were going to get fucked. Like they should, they're not that dumb. Like they've done some stupid shit, but they're not that dumb to know that they're not going to get fucked over. Like, that's where I started like, digressing. Yeah.
They didn't leave it to me. It was just like, like they could easily come back with another season and be like, this is the next shit that they're in, right? Like it didn't feel like they wrapped it all up, so I still enjoyed it.
On the Ozark Christmas special.
Yeah, for real. Or they do like a movie or some shit, but I feel like they definitely, especially with Netflix struggling the way it is, apparently like they're losing subscribers and shit. So maybe they're gonna do an Ozark movie. I don't know, but I wouldn't.
Okay with those. I don't know.
I still like the show, and I still find all the characters compelling. I did feel like they toned down the Bond villainess of the wife a little bit in the second season, the second half of this last season. Because in the first season, I was like, this is fucking stupid. Like she was too much. Like again, she felt like a Bond villain. It felt ridiculous at times. They toned it down a bit, but it's still she just got no comeuppance, like nothing at all. Like it was just okay, and she doesn't even like. I bet you she's happy. Fucking Ruth said at the end. If anything, Marty's the one who's like dealing with that shit. She's not.
I legit thought Ruth was gonna blast her ass, dude. That's where I thought that was gonna go. I thought Ruth was 100% gonna shoot her. I really did. That's the way.
Or at least that fucking cousin who's been a waste of space come in after you see, like he's been doing nothing. He's always just there, kind of. He's just like maybe, if anything, where you at, bro? Like, can you just see this bitch with a shotgun on your cousin and just blow her ass away?
I 100% thought he was gonna shoot her when she was confronted with Camilla. I thought, okay, here's Three's moment.
Yeah, I thought
I
thought that too. I really did. I really thought that shit. But yeah.
Anyways, I just wanted your opinion. That's all I got, dude.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. All right, awesome, everyone. Well, thanks again for joining us. Again, don't forget to follow us, N3RD_A13RT, and follow us on YouTube. Leave comments. Talk about what you want to talk about.
Hit that subscribe button.
Hit that subscribe button.
Share. Come on.
Engage, guys. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what to watch, or if we're wrong.
We really want your opinions on our topics. Like,
got to get in on these conversations so Chico can egg you on and kind of fuck you about.
I gotta poke the bear as much as possible.
All right, thanks again for joining us. Love you guys. Latest.
Thanks, everybody. Peace. Recording ended.